our solar system is getting popular. Remember Oumuamua, the giant cigar-shaped object that hurtled through a few years ago? Now something else is coming. Astronomers have just confirmed a new visitor to our solar system. It's a comet called 3I Atlas, and it is the third confirmed object that is not from here. 3I Atlas is here to remind us that we are not alone, even if it is just visiting. Today, we're going to break down what 3I Atlas is, where it came from, and why its brief visit is a huge deal for science. The cosmic party crasher. Is it a meteor or a message? In the summer of 2025, while most of us were busy trying not to melt into huge puddles of sweat, the universe RSVP'd us a very special guest. It wasn't your average rock, asteroid, or space junk. The universe delivered us 3I/Atlas, an interstellar comet that traveled from outside our solar system to get here. And that's a big deal. Cosmic visitors. Now, Earth has had visitors from beyond before, but this guy is only the third interstellar object that astronomers have ever spotted. Since the first modern telescopes looked to the stars, only 3 objects have shown up from outside our cosmic neighborhood saying, "Hey, nice place. Mind if I just pass through?" And let me tell you, NASA's Hubble Space Telescope wasn't going to miss the chance to snap some glamour shots of our new pal. On July 21st, 2025, when 3I Atlas was speeding by at about 277 million miles from Earth, Hubble zoomed in and captured the most detailed images of it yet. And what did those images reveal? Why not take a look for yourself? There it is, Atlas speeding by the traffic camera. I have a feeling it's not going to be paying its ticket. NASA said the comet has a teardrop-shaped cocoon of dust spilling off its icy core. But to be honest, all I see is a blue blur. The speed demon from the void. So how fast was this bad boy going? Only about 130,000 miles per hour. To put it into perspective, that's fast enough to lap the Earth in under 12 minutes. I don't even think Superman can circle the Earth in less than 12 minutes. If this comet were an Uber driver, you'd rate it 5 stars just for the thrill ride, and maybe deduct 1 star because you'd definitely throw up. Scientists confirmed on July 2nd, just a day after its discovery, that Atlas was not a homegrown rock, which means it came from somewhere out there. Out there in the beyond, past our imaginations and into the endless void. If you want an exact location, good luck. Nobody knows where the rock originated from, only that it came from somewhere far, far away. As David Jewett, astronomer at UCLA and leader of the Hubble science team, explained, it's like glimpsing a rifle bullet for 1,000th of a second. You can't project that back with any accuracy. In simple words, we'll probably never know where our visitor set off from, nor does anyone know where it's going. But it sure is in a hurry. You don't speed by at 130,000 miles an hour if you don't have somewhere to be. And no, you don't need to panic because this space missile is not coming anywhere near us in a way that matters. When it makes its closest approach to the sun in late October, it will be on the far side of the sun. That's like being on the dark side of the moon, but not so dark. What I'm trying to say is that humanity is not about to go the way of the T-Rex just yet. How big is this thing? Here's where things get interesting, guys. At the end of July, the freshly activated Vera C. Rubin Observatory took a peek and estimated that Atlas was a chunky 7 miles wide at its icy core. That would make it the celestial equivalent of a small city barreling through space. I don't want to be the one to say it, but Atlas, you need to chill out on eating nebula dust and space ice. You're getting huge. But wait, it might not be that big after all. Scientists can't seem to make up their mind. When the Hubble telescope examined Atlas, its high-resolution images showed that the nucleus might actually be closer to 3.5 miles across. It's like thinking you're going out with a dude who's 6 feet and then Frodo shows up. The comet is still massive, just not wipe out humanity massive. On the low end, NASA thinks it could be as small as 1,000 feet across, which is like the Eiffel Tower shooting across the stars like a bronze nuke. The mystery deepens. Unfortunately, scientists don't know where Atlas came from, what it's made of, or how many light years it's been on the road. It could be the cosmic equivalent of a lost tourist, or maybe it was kicked out of its home star system for bad behavior. Maybe it's been a vagabond for 1 billion years. This is why the mystery of 3i Atlas is so much fun. It's also why NASA isn't done poking at it. As it gets closer to Earth, the James Webb Space Telescope and other observatories will join the interstellar paparazzi, refining size estimates and maybe figuring out what's under all that dust. Until then, all we know is that Atlas is the biggest confirmed interstellar visitor anyone has ever seen, and it's currently ripping through our solar system like it owns the place. Excuse me, wipe your feet off, buddy. This is history, folks. We are alive at a time when humanity's telescopes can not only spot an alien space rock, but zoom in and peek under its dust coating. Is NASA sure it's a rock and not an alien spy? What do you think? Could Atlas secretly be a piece of alien technology gone astray in the Milky Way? According to one man, Atlas is indeed an alien probe. That man is a Harvard physicist, and I'm going to check in with him right now. He might just be the most controversial physicist to come out of Harvard this century. And now for a quick break because it's shout-out time. I want to give a big thank you to Ryan and Donald Shevlin for supporting this channel. Hope you learned something new today. Be sure to hit that notification bell if you haven't already so you don't miss out on the latest space discoveries. The Cosmic Spy. Harvard scientist Avi Loeb thinks our mysterious interstellar visitor might be a high-tech alien recon probe. And apparently, he's got the goods to prove it. Let's check and see what sort of proof Mr. Loeb is talking about. Something weird just entered the neighborhood. The universe may be 93 billion light years wide, but Earth still barely gets any cosmic visitors, which is why the arrival of the comet called Atlas is so dang exciting. But one man wasn't buying the "it's just a comet" story. Dr. Avi Loeb, professional paradigm smasher and often the loudest guy in the room, thinks it's actually a scout from another star system. It may be cruising by Earth to get the skinny on what us fleshy humans are up to. Because according to Loeb, 3i Atlas is just too odd to be a normal space rock. It has too many things about it that don't make sense. Even if the rest of the scientific community is like, chill, Avi, just chill already, it's fine. When comets break the rules. You probably know how a comet works, but just in case, here's a quick recap. It's a big ball of ice that cruises through the universe propelled by some ancient event in some faraway place. Maybe it was part of a planet that exploded and all the pieces went flying, and the comet is still on autopilot a billion years later. When a comet gets close enough to the sun, it starts to get a little gassy. Remember, a comet is just a ball of ice in most cases. I call it a space rock, but it's more like a space snowball. As the comet gets heated up and gassy, it forms a long, dramatic tail, like a cosmic raccoon on fire. Except that as far as scientists can tell, 3i Atlas has yet to form a tail. Instead of trailing a fiery streak behind it, this object has a glow in front of it, which Dr. Loeb described as quite surprising, which is science speak for what is that? According to Loeb, this kind of forward-facing glow isn't typical comet behavior. To be honest, it's as if this comet has headlights. It's as if the glow in front is part of its navigational systems. Maybe the glow is from the ion drive of a high-tech space probe coasting past Earth like we're nothing but a roadside attraction on the Milky Way. Trajectory or targeting? Still not convinced Earth is being peeped on by some alien weirdos? No problem. Let's talk trajectory. Out of all the wild angles an interstellar object could approach from, 3i Atlas just happened to arrive on a path that neatly aligns with the orbital planes of Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, which are the 3 planets, by the way, that most closely resemble places you might care about if you were studying alien life. That's to say Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are the 3 most likely planets in our solar system to have small microbial life forms. And those are the 3 planets this mystery object swung by, almost as if it were doing a drive-by science experiment to check for life. While it could be a coincidence, Avi Loeb doesn't think so. Loeb ran the numbers. The odds of this object approaching the solar system with that level of alignment completely by chance are 1 in 500, which, saying it out loud, aren't even bad odds. I mean, I play the 1 in 500 lottery every day of the week. But that's just alignment. What about proximity? The comet doesn't just pass near these planets. It swings by each one like it's checking it off on a list. The odds of that happening at random are 1 in 20,000. That's a little less tempting of a lottery. At a certain point, it stops seeming like these things are all just coincidences and starts looking like someone or something programmed the object to do some flybys. Maybe it's time to take a look at Avi Loeb himself. The man has a track record of claiming that interstellar objects are alien machines. The Harvard hypothesis. This is not Loeb's first interstellar rodeo. In 2017, he famously made headlines arguing that Oumuamua, the very first interstellar object ever discovered, might also have been artificial. Avi claimed that Oumuamua was a drone powered by a light sail, a theoretical piece of technology that can use the sun's energy to propel a spaceship. Avi thought Oumuamua was driven by alien tech, and his claims propelled him to heights of conspiracy theory fame usually reserved for the guys on Ancient Aliens. His critics scoffed, as critics will, but Avi Loeb didn't budge. And today, he's still not rattled. He says science isn't about comforting consensus, meaning bowing down to the masses. Science, he says, is about following the evidence, especially when it refuses to behave, and double especially when everyone thinks you're crazy. Well, he's got the crazy part down. And it's true that Atlas is not behaving. It's glowing in the wrong place. It's too bright for its distance, and it's taking a suspiciously scenic route through the solar system like it's casing the joint. Could we really have an alien probe on our hands, or is this object just a chunk of weird ice? Coincidence or contact? Let's say for a moment that Avi Loeb is right. Let's say 3A Atlas is a high-speed reconnaissance probe, scanning our planets, taking notes, and maybe even dropping off tiny drones like cosmic dandelion seeds that will infiltrate our world and be dismissed as weather balloons. If it's true, then what? What does humanity do next? Loeb said if it turns out to be technological, it would obviously have a big impact on the future of humanity. We have to decide how to respond to that. But how would our fellow Earthlings respond? That's a topic for another day. Let me know what you think would happen in the comments. In the meantime, NASA says that Atlas will reach its closest point to the Sun, about 130 million miles out, on October 30th, 2025. After that, it will slingshot back into deep space and vanish like an untraceable email attachment. After that, nobody knows. It will keep on trekking, and Earth will keep on spinning. Let's just hope it doesn't send an SOS to its handlers and tell them about the intelligent monkeys who got their hands on nukes and aren't afraid to use them. The dark comets of the Milky Way. They don't glow, they don't scream through the sky with glorious burning tails. They drift silently, invisible, but they are moving, getting faster, and no one knows why. Some think they brought water to Earth. Others think they could end it. This is the shocking story of the dark comets that prowl our solar system like invisible assassins. The creepiest things in the Milky Way. All right, friends, forget everything you know about space rocks. Forget about comet trails. Forget about the dusty, pockmarked asteroids that politely mind their own business, floating between Mars and Jupiter. These are boring rocks. Today is about dark comets, the unsettling middle children of the solar system. They aren't icy enough to grow tails, and they aren't rocky enough to stay still. They don't shine, they don't sparkle. Instead, they sneak. They are so dark that scientists can barely see them. Plus, they move in ways that, quite frankly, they shouldn't. These objects are accelerating through space as if being nudged by invisible thrusters, but without any visible signs of gas, ice, or dust being expelled. They're the kind of space oddities that keep astronomers up at night, standing before their window with their hands folded behind their back. And now, thanks to an accidental rendezvous from a Japanese spacecraft, we might finally get some much-needed answers. A phantom push from nowhere. The whole weird saga began in 2016. Astronomers were tracking what looked like a run-of-the-mill asteroid, your standard space rock doing laps around the sun like millions of others. But then it twitched. Well, technically it accelerated ever so slightly, but it looked like a twitch. The asteroid moved a fraction in a direction that gravity alone couldn't explain. Normally, that kind of behavior comes from a comet venting gas as it nears the sun. It's like nature's version of a steam-powered jetpack. But this thing had no tail and no visible ice, sort of like our friend 3I Atlas. It was just drifting off course like it had somewhere to be without any explanation to how. 1 year later, a similar misfit made headlines worldwide. I already told you about the interstellar visitor Oumuamua, the cigar-shaped anomaly with commitment issues. It too accelerated with no visible explanation. Skipping that saga, let's go straight to 2023, when Michigan State University astronomer Darrell Seligman dropped a bombshell. He and his team identified 6 more of these tailless, quiet, yet slightly hyperactive space rocks, all within our own solar system. These would become known as dark comets. The acceleration that nobody ordered, these mystery objects range from about 13 feet to over 100 feet wide. And though their accelerations are laughably small, a mere nanometer per second, over time, that adds up. It adds up to hundreds of miles of orbital drift after just a few years. And remember that some space objects have been floating around since the dawn of time. By December 2024, the count of known dark comets hit 14. Each one was orbiting the sun like a standard asteroid until it started drifting like a ghost ship caught in a breeze that no one else can feel. And scientists still have no idea why. They're too quiet to be traditional comets and too mobile to be ordinary asteroids. They ignore every textbook rule. They can't be categorized. They are openly defying every comforting assumption that scientists had about space rocks. Let me give you an example. Historically, space rocks are sorted like laundry. You have asteroids that are dry and rocky, and you have comets that are icy and boast long, dramatic tails like space peacocks. But dark comets crash that system like a rogue sock that doesn't match any other socks in the dryer. According to Michelle Bannister at the University of Canterbury, this whole thing is part of a broader shift in how astronomers think, meaning that scientists might not know quite as much about the intricacies of space and its floating shrapnel as we previously thought. Accidental hero. And now for the accidental savior of this space mystery. It's called Hayabusa 2, and it's a plucky Japanese spacecraft that just so happened to end up on a collision course with one of these freaky dark comets. Originally, Hayabusa 2 had one job. It was to visit the asteroid Ryugu, scoop up some dirt, and bring it back to Earth. It was a simple retrieval mission, which it pulled off flawlessly in 2020. But with fuel to spare, Japan's space agency JAXA sent it off on an extended mission to a small, spinning asteroid called 1998 KY26. At the time, nobody knew that KY26 was a dark comet, but when astronomer Darrell Seligman started compiling his team's list of dark comets, KY26 was on it. So the Japanese set out to meet a dark comet without even realizing it. They're on their way there as we speak. KY26 is just 98 feet across, rotating once every 10 minutes, which is surprisingly fast by asteroid standards. It also has that same creepy habit of accelerating for no obvious reason. Now, Hayabusa 2 is set to reach KY26 in 2031, where it will orbit from a few miles up, snap photos, sniff for sublimating ice, and maybe, if conditions allow, land on the thing. That will be really cool and a huge step toward understanding dark comets. If Hayabusa 2 can land, it will be able to fire a tiny bullet into the asteroid's surface and analyze the debris. And that's just how space scientists party. And guess what? Scientists have a hunch that these dark comets might be responsible for delivering water to planet Earth, like intergalactic Red Cross workers throwing globs of water at a thirsty world. The water mystery. There is a long-standing theory that our planet's oceans came from impacts from comets and asteroids slamming into early Earth, inadvertently dropping off fresh ice. Yes, it would have taken a lot, like a Gatling gun firing comets at Earth non-stop for a whole year, maybe for 1 million years. But eventually, the theory states that enough comets hit the Earth, their ice melted, and our oceans filled up. Boom! Habitable water world, all thanks to being bombarded by space missiles. However, there's a problem. The chemistry of most comets doesn't match the water in our oceans, so scientists aren't sure this theory even holds any water. Get it? Holds water. Luckily, dark comets could be the secret missing link to explain how water made it to Earth. If their asteroid-like bodies are hiding ice beneath their crusts, they could be the original delivery boys who dropped off our countless gallons of H2O. And one more little bit of information before moving on. These dark comets might destroy Earth, like a grenade in a watermelon. Not to scare everyone, but you know. Astrophysicist Astor Taylor, working with Seligman's team, warned that an object could appear harmless in our telescopes. But then, a mystery push might make it twitch in our direction. A dark comet could then move onto a collision course with Earth, and nobody would be the wiser. In fact, one of them, a potential dark comet named 2003 RM, nearly 1,000 feet wide, is uncomfortably close to Earth's neighborhood. It's not about to crash into us, but it is nearby and it's acting weird. It's like when you see someone sketchy coming down the middle of the street and just pray they don't shamble onto your side of the sidewalk. So yeah, maybe let's keep an eye on 2003 RM, just in case. Keep watching because the fun isn't over yet. The interstellar invasion that no one noticed. 1 million Statue of Liberty-sized space boulders may already be in our cosmic backyard, and they are not from around these parts. There is an invasion underway, and NASA is clueless. Far beyond the orbit of Neptune, past the ice giants, the Kuiper Belt, and even Pluto's lonely outposts, there is a place so remote and so dark it makes Antarctica look like Times Square. This quiet and dark place is known as the Oort cloud. It's a frigid, spherical shell of icy debris enveloping the solar system like the crust on a galactic meat pie. It's pretty much wrapped around our solar system like a belt of space rocks, some of which might be interstellar travelers, just like Oumuamua and Atlas. Because according to a recent study, the Oort cloud may be harboring over 1 million massive alien objects, each one larger than Lady Liberty herself, and each one from an alien solar system. 1 million uninvited guests casually chilling in our backyard, and they didn't even bother to knock. How does that make you feel? Where did they come from? To find their origin, you need to look 4 light years away, across the abyss of space to our closest stellar neighbor, the Alpha Centauri system. This system has 3 stars, unlike our sad 1-star system. They've got 2 sun-like stars named Alpha Centauri A and B. Then there's their weird little sidekick, Proxima Centauri. Proxima Centauri is a red dwarf that orbits the 2 other stars like the moody adult sun who still lives in the basement. Proxima Centauri also hosts a planet, which has the rather uninspired name of Proxima Centauri b. A and B? What about planet Katrina, for example? Planet Proxima Centauri b also happens to be the nearest possibly habitable planet to Earth. So that's kind of a big deal. But enough of that. Let's get back to the rogue space rocks because things are about to get juicy. According to simulations run by researchers, Alpha Centauri has been hurling debris at the Milky Way for 100 million years. Imagine an angry neighbor launching yard gnomes over the fence every few centuries, except the gnomes are skyscraper-sized chunks of interstellar rock. These objects, once ejected, eventually get caught in the sun's gravity like bugs in a porch light. They don't just pass through like our 3 confirmed interstellar visitors. They find a nice little cul-de-sac in the Oort cloud and settle into their new neighborhood. So no, these rocks won't be rising up against Earth anytime soon. Why didn't scientists find them? Over 1 million potential interstellar objects in the Oort cloud, but scientists have never actually seen one. Why not? The simple answer is that they're too far away, too cold, and too dark. No one has come up with technology advanced enough to spot these things yet. The Oort cloud is so distant that sunlight is barely a suggestion, not an actual source of illumination. It's about 100,000 times farther from the sun than Earth is. Spotting a dark object the size of a skyscraper in that blackness is like trying to find a peppercorn in a coal mine. They're practically invisible because they don't reflect enough light, and they are spread out over an almost unfathomable volume of space. Needle in a haystack? Meet your match. But wait a sec. The study also modeled some tinier stuff. Scientists were curious about the interstellar dust particles from Alpha Centauri, and these, unlike their Statue of Liberty-sized cousins, apparently do reach us. In fact, scientists found that about 10 of them hit Earth every single year, burning up in our atmosphere as harmless shooting stars. You may have seen one yourself without even knowing it. Our neighboring star system is literally hurling space dust at us, and it vaporizes in our skies and is seen as a falling star. And these particles are microscopic, but they appear as huge, burning, glorious falling stars. Amazing, right? Some of these microscopic travelers were even picked up by spacecraft, including data from NASA's Cassini mission, which detected such particles drifting through the solar system before the probe dove into Saturn's atmosphere in a blaze of scientific glory. When worlds collide. Ever wondered what happens when worlds collide? Someone called Powerman 5000 because the Alpha Centauri system is currently heading our way. And while worlds probably won't literally collide, our neighboring galaxy will get very close to us in about 28,000 years. So don't bother marking it on your calendar. I know that sounds far off, and it is to us, but in galactic terms, it's basically next Tuesday. And when it does swing by Earth, the recent simulations predict a massive uptick in interstellar junk flooding into our solar system. When Alpha Centauri does its little drive-by, it's going to be like a cosmic garage sale where everything must go, and all the neighbors' junk ends up in our yard. In simpler terms, it will bombard our galaxy with space debris, and some of them could sail into Earth. Hopefully, in the next 28,000 years, humanity comes up with a planetary defense system that works. Of course, assuming that humans are still around in 28,000 years. Do you think we will be? The comet that ghosted Earth. In September 2023, a cosmic guest swung by our neighborhood and almost nobody noticed. Not because it wasn't beautiful or rare or worth staying up for, but because Comet Nishimura's big mistake was showing up late to the cosmic party and then hiding behind the sun. How are we supposed to see you if you're on the other side of our actual light source? Come on! This icy traveler skimmed past Earth at a mere 77 million miles away, practically brushing our cosmic driveway by astronomical standards. But unless you had an alarm set for way too early a clock and a telescope pointed just above the horizon, it was easy to miss. Which is a shame, because Nishimura wasn't just any comet. It was the kind of celestial body that shows up once every 4 centuries and then vanishes again, like it has better places to be. The guy who found it. Credit for the discovery goes to Hideo Nishimura, an amateur astronomer from Kakegawa City, Japan. And when I say amateur, I mean that in the most humbling way possible. In an era where multi-million-dollar automated telescopes sweep the skies every night, Nishimura bagged this comet with his personal setup. No government agency, no massive observatory, just one guy and a scope. And amazingly, this was his 3rd comet discovery. Just how many nights does Nishimura spend alone with his telescope? And how does he find these things? The impossible timing problem. So why was this comet so hard to spot? Nishimura was a master of hide and seek, visible only in the pre-dawn sky. To see it, you had to set your alarm for way too early and catch it lurking low over the eastern horizon before sunrise. By mid-September, it tried switching to early evening visibility, but that wasn't much better. From most places, it hugged the western horizon right after sunset, still dangerously close to the sun's glare. It was almost as if the comet was hiding on purpose. Astronomers pegged its brightness around magnitude 4.0, which is technically bright enough to see with the naked eye. However, you would need perfect timing, a clear sky, and maybe the eyesight of a medieval falconer to actually spot it. Peter Brown, a professor at Western University in Canada, said it wasn't as spectacular as Comet Neowise was in 2020. He compared Nishimura to a faint smudge, while Comet Neowise was like a glowing space sword. The high-stakes sundive. On September 17, 2023, Nishimura made its closest approach to the Sun, a heart-stopping 21 million miles inside Mercury's orbit. This is a dangerous maneuver for any comet. Sometimes the heat and gravitational stress tear them apart like cheap taffy. Sometimes they survive and swing back for another round centuries later. In Nishimura's case, astronomers didn't know which way it would go. Survival meant we would see it again in about 400 years. Destruction meant it was a one-time wonder. I'm happy to say that Nishimura survived its superheated slingshot around the sun, and now that faint green smudge is already 200 million miles away, still sailing through space like it never even stopped by. But it did stop by, and it will stop again. You won't see it, your kids won't see it, but your great descendants might, because Comet Nishimura will be making a return journey to Earth in approximately 430 years. So, unless you're Count Dracula or the vampire Lestat, I hope you caught a glimpse of it in 2023. Thanks for watching. What's the coolest thing you've ever seen in the night sky? Let me know your discoveries in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out. See you in the next one. Bye!